Hello, welcome back to the third episode of the After the Bell podcast. Today we've got a great episode lined up. We've got our second guest of the series. I'm excited to speak to this person. Are you, Harry?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's got a very unique story that also relates to school, which is, you know, sort of the base topic of the podcast as well, so it links in perfectly.
I feel like he's a good third guest, or second guest actually, to have a good third episode. Different from
second
last
guest,
week.
third episode, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's right. We also wanted to talk about, just briefly, our new technical upgrades. We both got like new shields for our microphones to help with some of the plosive sounds, so hopefully it'll sound better if you're listening to it. Also, my webcam should be better as well. This should be significantly improved when we start looking at the video.
Yeah, there was a couple technical difficulties with the second episode, just with the visuals, sort of the webcam lagging and the plosive sounds, but we've got pop shields now. I think you can kind of see mine in the video a little bit.
Yeah, you can definitely see mine. So the second guest today is Dan Gilbert, and he's come to talk about his sort of entrepreneurial business he started at school, selling sweets and drinks and like chocolates, anything like that. But he ended up making quite a bit, like selling it to school kids. So we're talking to him about that, asking loads of questions, and hopefully I enjoyed doing it. Did you?
Yeah, 100%. It was a good episode. Hope you guys enjoy.
So when we're talking selling sweets and stuff, when did this all sort of start for you? Was it a while ago or was it more recently?
So probably about year 8. I remember being at Heron's, and for 8p, I remember 8p, they were selling chocolate fridges, the milkshake, and of course,
that's really cheap.
Yeah,
exactly, for those
cheap
milkshakes.
And the only rational thing I could do was buy 8, which is exactly what I did.
Obviously.
But obviously with a milkshake, I took them to school, probably drank a couple, and you realise you can't keep a milkshake in your bag all day. So I was like, I got to sell these to someone.
Yeah.
I think I sold them for 50p or something. Just sold them to some people, and I realised, like the next day, I was like, why don't I just do that generally? You know, go to Heron's, buy 4 Kit Kat Crunchies for £1 and sell them for 50p each.
So was the first buy not intentional of selling them?
No, not really.
You bought all of them for you because
you bought it out greed.
Yeah. Well, I figured, you know, even if I buy 8 and don't drink them all, they're only 8p, so I've not really lost.
So you spent, what's that?
64p or something.
64p, yeah. 64p for 8 fridges, and you drank 2 of them. So that means you had like 6 left, and you sold the last 6 for about 50p.
Yeah.
So you've already made about £2.50 profit just there and then. So is that what sort of like hooked you in? Was that sort of?
Well, my brother also did it. He also sold sweets when he was in about year 9. So I knew it was like possible, and I just figured, you know, why not carry it on? And I guess
when you say your brother did it as well, because you're one of 4,
one of 5 boys,
brothers?
yeah.
One of 5 brothers, all been to the same school. Yep. And so was it the one brother older than you that sold sweets before?
Yeah.
And did he do it to the level that you did? Because I remember you were like, you know, you were the entrepreneur of.
It got quite
sweets.
big, didn't it?
Yeah, I think not quite. I mean, he did it a fair bit, but he didn't quite get to the point I did, I don't think.
And did it help with his selling, because everyone sort of had more cash on them when he sold, because they introduced like a cash on card system at our school for like paying for dinners and at break time for stuff. Less people were carrying cash around, so I feel like people brought cash in purely to buy sweets.
Yeah, I never thought about that actually, but that must have, like, if people have got money on them, then they're more likely to spend it with you, aren't they? But if they didn't, did you have to like sort of sell yourself to them? Like, how did you know what sweets and stuff to buy? Like, how did you know people would buy?
Well, I guess,
and not just get it themselves.
Yeah, at first, not many people would, and because like you're saying, not many people have money on them. But I guess as people realised, as I did it consistently, and they realised I wasn't ripping them off. If they had bare a couple quid, just buy a can or whatever. But you're right, Matty. I remember my brother saying he'd get people to spend their entire lunch money on him, which something.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't quite have, but yeah.
So speaking about like people actually buying the sweets, how did you find more people to sell to? Did you sell to like just our year group, or did you sell to anyone who came up to you?
Or just like your friends? Like, how did you get to those people that aren't your friends that still want to buy?
Well, yeah. So I think to begin with, I probably wasn't making much. Not many people were buying, but as time went on and people kind of got to know that I was that kid who was selling sweets, and like kind of word would get round like, where did you get that whisper from?
Yeah.
And I remember like a year later, or like nearing the end of when I stopped selling, I was getting kids in the year below coming up to me like,
really?
Oh, are you selling sweets? I'd be like, yes, I am.
If there's like sweets mentioned at a school, like everyone knows about it pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is sort of like the chewing gum out the bag situation where everyone's just got their hand there like,
oh yeah, you got chewy.
Give me some. But in this case, it's I'll give you this if you give me that type thing. So how did you sort of have the willpower, I guess, to not give stuff away for free, like close? And because you didn't do like, oh, I'll pay you tomorrow, because obviously at a secondary school, no one's gonna actually pay you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you didn't give away sweets unless like it was someone's birthday or something. How did you sort of have the willpower to not do that?
Well, yeah, that was very difficult, but like it's one of them things I'm very glad I did, because once I've done it once and say to one person I let him go the next day, all of a sudden it's like, well, you let that guy do it, why not me?
You've got this.
I think
you've got this like blanket rule, then, haven't you, for everyone, no matter who you are, and that's not going to change.
Yeah, it was very helpful.
Yeah, if I tried doing it, I wouldn't. If someone said I'd pay you tomorrow, I'd just go, yeah, okay, and then that's sort of where like a business in school would fail, because you'd be chasing people for money, and then it would all go south sort of quickly. But having the actual, it was like, it almost felt like a real like company within your school bag, because you knew what you were getting each, like, because you sort of did sell similar products each week. You'd have your Lucozade.
Yeah, what were you selling?
So I had like there was some staple stuff like Kit Kat Crunchies, Chunkies. I always had them because they were always selling them at errands. You had your Mentos, fruit and mint, and then Whispers or Boost. They kind of varied. I'd have some kind of can. I remember it was 6 cherry tangos for £1.59 at Heron. So I normally had them.
So yeah, it'd be sort of different stuff each day then, depending on the deal or whatever.
And then Lucozades as well. Heron would normally do 3 Lucozades for £1, but it'd be different ones every few days.
So was it always Heron that you went to for your stock?
Yeah, Heron's and Tesco's. As I realised.
And did the workers not see you every day and start wondering, why is this kid buying like 6 tangos every day and 6 Kit Kat Crunchies and stuff like that?
I did feel like a bit of a fool every single day without fail, going to the Heron like checkout and having to put a massive thing of cans and food. But I just think I'm getting money off this. So, who cares about a bit of embarrassment?
There is probably some sort of legal thing that says, I don't think you can buy from this shop and then sell it on. But I suppose in a secondary school,
multi-pack not to be sold separately.
Yeah, you're never going to be found out for that, I guess. But I suppose, did you have to spend a lot initially to sort of see the profit coming in, or was it like you'd spend the profit on more stock?
Yeah, because I wouldn't see that necessarily as worth it to start with. Like, I'd think, it's a bit of effort, like just going to errands and spending money on sweets and then making like, what, £5 more? Or did you sort of knew this would progress and then work up from there?
Well, I guess the way I saw it earlier on, like when I first started, was, any profit I could make, all I'm doing is going a bit earlier in the morning and making money off it. And
so it was on your way to school, wasn't it?
Yeah, on my way to school. And then everything I sold, I'd make sure I was at least selling it for at least double what I was buying.
Right,
So, 4 for £1 and sell it for 50p each was the staple, what I was doing. because otherwise you're not really making. It's not really worth it. If
Yeah.
You're not making that kind of profit on it.
And did people not sort of mind that they were paying double the price that they could get if they'd just bothered to go to a shop? Or
Well, it was still like cans I was selling for 50p, which is still like a average price at a shop.
yeah,
So it
it's
wasn't
not
like
much
I was
at all.
Yeah, I wasn't charging.
I think there's also the argument that like they don't really have much choice because the stuff Dan was selling you couldn't find that in school anywhere.
No.
And at the year group we were in, we couldn't go out at lunch and we couldn't go out at break time. So in a sense, it's good that you did get caught when you did, because even if you hadn't, the business would have sort of faded out unless you stayed in school while all your friends went out at lunchtime. Because obviously no one's going to buy off you when they can just, go to the shop themselves and buy it.
So what kind of, how much were you making then at the height of like your sweet selling business, I guess? Like at that point, obviously it was worth it.
Yeah, so the weeks just before I got caught, I was making probably 70 quid in profit per week.
That's not
Each
bad
week.
for just selling sweets.
Yeah.
And the only negatives, I suppose, was like, what, a heavy bag?
Yeah, it was an absolute pain. I remember I'd bike as well, and it started catching on the back wheel, the bottom of the bag. And it was a right pain to carry, but I just remember thinking, like, Daniel, you'll be making, you're getting a lot of money off this. It's worth it.
It's worth it. It's hard labour, but it's worth it. Did a teacher never see inside your bag, sort of when it was like on the floor in a classroom or whatever?
I guess, I mean, it was a pretty big bag, but I guess the people just thought I had games or cooking.
Yeah.
Which made it difficult when I did have games and cooking on the same day.
Yeah.
Did you have that? Games at our school is like just sort of PE. We just called it games for some reason. So I guess you'd have your PE kit, and like all your cooking ingredients as on top of school books, on top of stock.
It wasn't a good
day.
It wasn't a
nightmare. Good day. But you still buy the stock because you'd know that you'd make the money from it.
Yeah,
and you would sell this stuff at like lunch and break, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So did you sort of end up by the end of the day like having stuff left over, or did you sell out pretty much every day?
I would whatever I'd left over, I'd just sell the next day. So I tried to make it so I was buying a bit more than what I'd sell, so I wouldn't run out. And then it doesn't matter if I've left over because.
I feel like it was quite rare that you had leftovers though, because I feel like people would be. I could, on the rare occasion, I wasn't like, because you did have quite a lot of loyal customers. I wasn't really one of them. I'd buy something off you like on the rare occasion, but on the times that I did, I'd come up to you about 15-20 minutes into lunchtime, and then you'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I'm all out of this," and I'd be like, "Well, I knew that you had like 4 or 6 of these earlier, so who's come and bought all of these?"
There would be a rush. Stuff like I started selling cookies, and I had a limited supply of them, and there'd be a rush. You'd get people running to me at the beginning of the break to get the first packet of cookies.
I would have been a sucker
crazy.
for them. Yeah, definitely.
And were you in like the same spot at break time or lunchtime? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
So they'd know this is where they come to you.
That's crazy. I mean, I actually never did. I never knew you were doing this because at the time I wasn't really friends with you, and I just didn't know. But after hearing about it like a year later, I was pretty shocked that all this happened and I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah, I missed a bit of the year there, didn't I? A lot more people I could have been selling to. And I didn't.
Yeah. So making all this money, I'm guessing for a period of months actually. Did you spend this, or did you save it, or?
I think.
Do you still have it?
I remember it was. I had an ice cream tub full of like 50p's, and I'd saved it for a long time, and then slowly just spent it on a few things. And I think I bought a bike with some of it.
That's not bad.
So I think I remember you telling me that you had sort of like the number how much you'd earned on like a whiteboard in your house, and sort of it was sort of fake cash in the sense that because am I right in saying that your parents knew about you doing this?
Yeah.
So your dad would sort of. Did your dad take the cash off you and put the number on the whiteboard?
Yeah, sweet.
And then every time you wanted something, he just rubbed the number off and deduct it.
It got to the point. It was like 700 quid in 50p's. I was like, I can't do anything with this.
That's crazy.
So my dad went to take it in at the bank, and then I just wrote it on the whiteboard because it was a lot easier for me to just, how much he owes me, then have to count out 50 quid or whatever and 50p coins in an ice cream box.
And £700 to like a 14-year-old kid is a lot of money from just shifting stock. It's pretty mad. So everything's smooth sailing. It's all going well, and then was it break time?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, one break time. I remember it was the end of break, and then this kid came up to me in our year, and he was like, "Dan, someone's coming up. They're asking people where you're getting these sweets from. They're asking about you."
Oh no!
But it was the type of guy who he made up a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I'll see you later. And I go out, and there's a woman just like, oh, hi, are you Daniel? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, do you mind just coming with us? And I'm like, oh, damn it.
Oh no! Did your heart just sink?
Yeah.
Had they seen you from a window then?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. I think they just, because I say, people were running to me. I think they just saw a big crowd and was like, what's happening there?
Confused. And I'm surprised that didn't happen earlier.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, because I think I got a bit confident, I was thinking no one's looking out for a kid selling sweets.
Yeah.
And as I got bigger and more people were buying, I was attracting more attention.
Exactly. Well, I would have sort of got self-conscious with that, because there's a lot of people, when people are running to you, teachers notice that kind of thing. And
yeah, I think they probably thought a fight was happening or something, but
yeah. I think they thought that you hadn't been doing it very long, because they'd only seen, just you doing it that day. They might have just thought that you were just doing it today, and they were like, no, that's wrong. And was that sort of the reasoning behind your punishment? Was very little, wasn't it? I think, what was it again?
It was half an hour after with one of the best teachers you'll ever meet. So.
Yeah, so that's no punishment at all,
No.
I guess. Half an hour after school detention with a teacher who you love for selling sweets for years.
I think you got off pretty lucky.
Allowed.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot worse.
I think they thought maybe a week I'd been trying to sell some stuff, and they were like, all right, we need to stop this. And I often think back I should have argued. I should have been like, you never say you can't sell sweets. But I think by me just keeping my head down, they just thought, it's just a kid trying to sell some sweets. It's nothing big.
Yeah. So speaking about sort of the morals behind it, would you encourage people who are going up through school to do it, or do you think maybe just keep your head down type thing?
I mean, most school rules are annoying, but you kind of get why. I still don't really get why I couldn't sell sweets.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it's a tricky one, actually.
There's no harm. Yeah, that is tricky. There isn't any harm in doing it, but I suppose if one kid's doing it, then that might cause another kid to do it. And
they don't want to encourage it.
Yeah, towards the end, there was some other kids who started to try and, compete with you, weren't there?
I think so, but I don't remember them lasting long.
No, because you were such a staple name. It was kind of like a supermarket trying to compete with an Asda or a
little independent food store.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you put sort of whether the companies of the food wanted you to sell it or not, and put that aside, should the school have sort of intervened in that? Because in a sense, it's you're doing something sort of productive, you're making a bit of money for yourself, and you're not forcing anyone to do anything they don't want to do, and it's not necessarily bad, is it?
Yeah, I guess you could argue it's showing entrepreneurship and stuff, which they teach business.
Yeah.
And I remember they did say that, but they just said we can't accept someone selling sweets.
And were they angry? Did they have an angry tone with you, or was it more calm, relaxed, just don't do that again, or was it that's not allowed?
Yeah, like I said, because I kept my head down, I didn't really argue. I think they were just you can't sell this. I remember they got my bag and they got all the sweets out on the table, and there was just this massive pile, and I was just kind of yep.
And did you have much money, profit on you at the time, or was it all away at home?
Yeah, that could have been worse, couldn't it?
I think
because I think if they'd have seen a wallet with like stacks of 20s in, they'd have been like questioning you.
I would
a
have
lot
had
more.
at least like 10 or 15 quid on me, but I don't think they saw it. I think it was a pile of change at the bottom of my bag.
Yeah. So did they not take that off you?
No, I don't remember them doing it. I think I was lucky there.
It's one of those things where sort of everyone dreams of everyone has a thought of like, oh, I could sell something at school and like I'd get quite a lot for it, because when you're at school, like you've got no other option. You're just at school, and if you want food, that's like everyone's a sucker for it. But you actually went like a step further and did that for quite a few months. I think that's quite cool, to be honest.
And once you finally did get caught, did you think, that's it, I'm not going to do this again? Or was there a thought in the back of your head, I've come too far for this to end like this, and I'll leave it a couple of weeks and I'll come back to it?
Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of people, so many people coming to me, like, they were like, Daniel, you've got to start up. I mean my daily cookies. And I think I left it a couple of weeks, and I did start up again for only a week or so. But my dad was less... I mean, to begin with, he was fine with it. But I think once I got caught, he was kind of like, all right, time for this to come to an end.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, moving on from the selling sweets, because I'd happily talk about sweets all day, but, that time in your life is over now. You could start a sweet shop in the future. You never know.
Is that in your plans?
I can't say I've really thought about it, but it's always there, yeah. Selling
I suppose you can't buy from Heron and then move next door and put stock on your shelf. There's definitely some legalities in that. But so we do a segment each week of like TV shows or film shows of the week. So what was it you wanted to talk about?
I wanted to talk about Star Wars: The Clone Wars. One of the best TV shows without a doubt, have ever seen.
So you're on your own here, because I know nothing about it.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the Clone Wars, but I have seen like all the Star Wars. So where does it fit into that timeline of the Star Wars then?
So if you have the prequels, the second film, it's between the second and the third.
Okay.
If you know, I mean, Star Wars is quite complicated, isn't it? With the movies.
Before Anakin turns into Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Anakin's in it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's cool.
I thought it was animated. Oh, it is. Oh, is it? It is animated, isn't it? Right, so it's set between 2 and 3, but it's animated. But they filmed 4 first, and then so it goes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and between 2 and 3, this is where Clone Wars is set. Am I right?
Exactly, you got it.
And this is different to The Mandalorian as well. Yeah,
Mandalorian's after the 6th film.
In your opinion, does it compare well to the actual Star Wars trilogy, or?
Oh, I love it. I mean, my brother was saying, "How can you watch? It's an animation. It's a kids TV show. What are you doing?" And
that was my first impression of it.
I mean, the first season, I'd probably have to agree with you, but I get really attached to some of the characters, and because it's the prequels, by definition, it has to have a sad ending. So I think it's one of the most emotional TV shows. Tragic events in it.
So I looked up on it, and it says that the last series was filmed in 2011, but you said that there's a recent one that's just come out.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, so the first 6, I think the last season 6 was 2014.
Right.
And,
2014.
They cancelled the last season, but then they brought it out. In 2018 they announced they were going to do it, and they just brought it out a few weeks ago, the last episode. And that's the latest season's actually in time with the 3rd movie at the same time as it happening.
Oh, that's cool.
What were you watching it on? It's
Disney Plus.
Which channel? Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So it's a definite recommendation.
If you like Star Wars and you're willing to get past the first season, I would highly recommend this show.
Is it the same creators as like the Star Wars films, like George Lucas and all that?
Yeah,
or is it different?
George Lucas and this other guy called David Vivian or something. They do. They are the writers of it.
David Filoni. Apparently.
Yeah, something like that.
And they're each like half an hour long.
Yeah, 20 minutes each individual episode.
You could binge that quite easily then, couldn't you?
Yeah, very easily.
I don't know. I guess you have to
I'm
be
guessing-
into Star Wars, don't you?
Yeah, it's probably not for everyone, but I just really loved it. It's very much because it's a series, they get to explore more of Anakin's transformation, which I very much enjoy.
And it's still got, even though it's a cartoon, it still gets your emotions like the films would. Because to be honest, unpopular opinion, I liked some of those prequels. I liked not all parts of them, but I liked the parts with Anakin in. And if it explores more of him, then I would watch that.
I think
I'm just staying quiet because I haven't seen Star Wars since I was a kid, so I'm not massively, knowledgeable on the topic. However, I was looking into, purely because it looks amazing, getting a Baby Yoda canvas about there on my wall. What do you think? I haven't even watched The Mandalorian. I just love the look of Baby Yoda, and I don't know.
He's
Why
cute.
not?
Have you seen The Mandalorian, Dan?
I have, yeah. I've basically Disney Plus and quarantine. I've binge watched everything Star Wars.
That's crazy. If you've got Disney Plus, I recommend the I forgot what it's called, but it's it shows you the making of Disney.
The Imagineering story.
Yeah, that's the one. The Imagineering story. I highly recommend that for you, Dan, on Disney Plus if you into sort of Disney and everything, like the theme park, Walt Disney, everything like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, if you're into, I've watched 3 episodes of that, and if you're into Disney, like the idea of Disney, then you'll really like the show.
I'm on my I'll have to make my 7th free trial for that one, but
yeah.
Is that what you've been doing?
Yeah, I think my 6th one ran out this week.
That's amazing.
How do you have the amount of emails to do this?
Well, the emails are quite easy because you can make them up, but you've got to put a different credit card in each time.
He does have 5 brothers as well, Harvey.
So you just...
right, yeah. I get what you mean, yeah.
And it doesn't, you have to put your credit card in and then cancel because it automatically starts it in a week's time. So you put a new credit card in, cancel it immediately, and you're off for another week. You're set.
That's a pain.
I'm sure you're not the only one doing that, Dan. But that about rounds off episode 3 of the After the Bell podcast. Thank you very much for coming on, Dan.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Sharing your sweet selling story, and your film of the week, obviously. Hopefully we can see you as a massive entrepreneur on the big stage in 10 years' time. Who knows?
Yep. All right.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
Cheers.
And there we are. There's the insight into Dan Gilbert, the entrepreneurial kid from our school, little business. I think he explained that really well.
Yeah, he told the story pretty good, and considering he's like our first guest who's not used to speaking to a camera or a microphone, that was pretty good. Yeah.
So huge thanks to him for coming on and being our second guest. I know, a lot of people, it can be a bit of a daunting task, but we appreciate him for that. We do have, obviously, the guests lined up for the next few episodes. Be sure to give us the rating on Apple Podcast. Mm-hmm. Be sure to be in touch on all the comments and social media using the hashtag The Bell Has Rung.
That's like our new hashtag, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we thought a lot of things have like a slogan with them.
Yeah.
So that was sort of going to be ours. So let us know in the comments of this video if you think it'd be worth sort of setting up social media accounts for specifically for the After the Bell podcast, where you can get in touch with us, sort of asking any questions that you want us to cover on videos, etc. We just want to know if it'll actually be worth setting it up. So any feedback on that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you for listening.
Great. See you next week.